Good afternoon. This video covers creating users and assigning permissions to the users in Wireless Standard. For this, we will go to Manage, Administration Tools, User Administrator. User Administrator module gives users the ability to control employee access to various modules in Wireless Standard. Here you add users, set up permission roles, and assign permission roles to the users. So to create a user, we will need to click on Create User button on the bottom menu. Let's click on it. On the General tab, which is the first tab, we will provide first name, last name for the user. Also, General tab holds title, gender, date of birth, social security number, and other date of birth, state, driver license, the information that you can provide creating a user. However, the required sections are first name, last name, gender, and home store. So let's create a user. Let's specify his first name. So let's create John, and our last name is going to be Smith. This is male, and we want to assign a specific home store to him. Let's pick one. Alright, this is all the information necessary in this tab, so let's move on to the System Accessibility. And on the System Accessibility tab, we will provide user login, password, and maybe swipe card data if applicable. So our user login is going to be John, and let's make up a password for our user. And this is all the information needed to create the profile for an employee. So we can click Save at the bottom, or we can continue providing information in regards of this profile. So on the Contacts tab, System stores users' personal contact information. Human Resources tab allows the employer to set up user statistics such as whether the employee is full-time or part-time, the amount of hours the employee works each week, and any additional locations at which the employee is available to work, as well as personal, sick, vacation times. Here we can also assign the user to his or her sales commission profile to calculate commissions, which is very important and which is located over here, sales commission profile. Note History tab allows the administrator to post or maintain comments on the selected user, so we can create any additional notes. And Partner Access tab is used with various integrations that we have with Wireless Standard, for example, Verizon Celluphone integration or T-Mobile integrations. As mentioned before, the only required tabs to fill in are General and System Accessibility, so we provided information on those two, so let's click Save. And user account created successfully. Okay, creating the profile is not enough for the user to be able to log in. So we need to assign a specific role, a specific permission to the user. So to assign a permission, we will go to Role Assignment Manager on the top when the record is selected, just like that. So let's click Role Assignment Manager, and it opens the screen. To the left, we see the breakdown by stores, and to the right we see available permissions, available roles that are set up in Wireless Standard, and those four are default roles. So to assign a user to a preset role or a role you created, we will simply double click on a specific role user needs to inherit, and we can either do this on the company level, which is in our case, if we double click on the appropriate role, user will inherit administrative permissions in both locations below Verizon Wireless, which is our company name. If we do not want the user to inherit permissions in all of the locations, then we will simply move to a location that the user is present, and he will only be available as administrator in that location and will not be able to log into any other locations below company name. So we can double click on the permission and click Save. Now we can close this window. To set up a role in Wireless Standard, we will click on the Role Manager button on the top of the User Administrator menu over here. We can select the preset role to modify from the drop-down menu at the top, which is this one. And the user can also create a new role, edit the title of the role, delete a role, copy a role, or reset the role to its default settings. Whether you are creating a new permission role or modifying an existing role, you can enable or disable permissions of features and modules by double-clicking on that item to toggle. So, for example, we want to modify sales rep role, and if we want to make any adjustments to specific modules, for example, sales module, we'll expand sales module menu, and we can open cash register, and by double clicking on the specific permission we can either grant or disallow access to certain feature. Okay, to override permissions for a certain user regardless of their role, click on User Overrides Manager button when the specific record is selected. So we have John selected. Now we can click User Overrides Manager, and we can either we can switch users on the top. So if we want to modify John, we can pick John, and on the left hand side we can select whether to modify permissions for the user geographically or on a store-by-store basis. Then we can, for example, select a store, and on the right hand side you can modify permissions for the user without changing the role to which they are assigned. So for example, we want to make adjustments to John being administrator, but we do not want him to be able to modify any location information. So we can right click on My Company and say Disallow Execution, which disables John from modifying any store information in the system. Changes on a company level, we will simply select the name of the business and assign a role. Good afternoon.